today I wanted to talk about the ebb and flow of life and how, it can be a struggle sometimes. And sometimes it's really easy when you're when you're in the flow state to do all the things, you find, well, I know I do. I find eating healthier easier. I find moving my body is easier. I take care of myself. I do all the self-care things. I meditate. I move my body. I do all the things when I'm in that flow state, and I find it easy. I find it's super easy to do all those things because you just know you feel great and you're going to feel even better. But what do you do when you're in the ebb, when you're in that lower state of mood? What do you do then? How do you keep going with your self-care practices? Because it can be really hard. Like I say, it can be super easy when you're in a great mood, but when you're in a bad mood, how do you keep going? How do you keep your practices and keeping them consistent? Because that's generally the key with a lot of this stuff, is keeping it consistent, which is something, it's a horrible word. It's like being disciplined with it. It's like, I don't know. I think for me, it gives kind of like school connotations and being disciplined by teachers or something. It's not a great word, but it's kind of what you need. It's what you need to keep doing these things. And it's about finding those little tips and tricks to keep yourself disciplined. And so what can you do to make this as easy as possible for yourself? So when you're in, what can I say? When you're in the flow state, super easy. But when you're in the ebb state, how can you make it super, super easy for yourself? Now, for me, a little tip from me. I love a list, absolutely love a list. But when it came to my sort of self-care practice, I didn't want to do it from a list. I didn't want it to feel like it was a tick box thing where I was like, okay, yep, meditated, tick, breath work, tick. It just didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel like it was, it just didn't resonate with me. And I was like, oh, that's not very spiritual. I should do it when I'm in the mood to do it, not when I want to do it. But that's okay. When you're in the flow state, you're like, yeah, great. But I did notice that when I wasn't in the flow state, I struggled. And then, the self-care practices would fall by the wayside and I would not do them as much when I was in those states. I always looked after myself and I always knew that I would come out of those states, but I didn't do the self-care practices. So I thought, well, how can I solve this? How can I help myself? I basically made a self-care spreadsheet. Yeah, it sounds, well, not unless you're into spreadsheets. It could be quite dull, could be a great thing. But I just made a really simple spreadsheet where I put the date on the left-hand side and across the top, I put things that I basically wanted to do each day that I knew they're just good for me. They're like my non-negotiables. If I do these, if I hit these, I will feel better. So yes, I've got meditation. I've got breath work, some sort of dance or movement, some sort of stretch. What else is on that? Journaling. I've also included my diet in there and certain things that I want to eat to help myself and help my body to move and feel good, and also whether I drink alcohol or not. So there's all these things on there, and it's been a great way for me to track. And it's actually really nice when you look at it and you see, and just do a little tick. And I then also mark at the end what my energy was like for the day and what my sleep was like. So I just mark that out of 10 for both of those. And I've definitely seen a pattern. I've definitely seen a pattern in that. And I think I've started to. I've only been doing it for a couple of months, but as a woman, I've definitely noticed a pattern around my hormones, around my period. Yeah, there's a definite flow of energy that happens when I ovulate, and when I'm on my period, there's definitely a lower energy. But it has really helped me keep track of my self-care practices. And even if I don't feel like it, I look at it and I see, oh, you haven't done any movement today. Oh, you only have to do 5 or 10 minutes. That's easy. Just put a couple of songs on and move your body when you're cooking. Done. Super, super easy. And that's the thing with these tasks. It's making them as easy as you possibly can so you will keep consistent with them. Keep them short, keep them simple, attach them to habits that you already do. You know, this is the best way that you will keep consistent with this. And when you keep consistent, you will see the benefits. And like I say, it's not to say that those ebb moments will never come, because that's not what this is about. You know, for me, it helped with those moments because I probably came out of them quicker than what I would have done if I wasn't hitting those daily practices. I probably would have, in the past, definitely stewed a little bit more in that negative spiral and kind of just gone down and not been able to pick myself up as quick as what I do now. So I understand when I'm in those moments that I will come out of them. So I just wanted to give you a few tips on that. So have a good day, everyone.